ever meet. And I say that after all my years of living, I say that. So we literally got into a scenario where she ate her chicken, but she didn't eat her vegetables. And she's like 30 months old, 29 months old. And so I sat there, she's in a little, strapped in her little chair. And I'm like, you gotta eat your vegetables before you get more chicken. And she says, no. And then she says, I said, well, you gotta eat your vegetables before you have some more chicken. Now, what's going through my mind right now is, why in the world is she preferring chicken to vegetables? Did we do something wrong as parents to get her on this chicken kick and really not liking vegetables? I think I found the key, though. I think it was the asparagus in the vegetables, stringy, and she didn't like it, so I think we got to take asparagus out. But we got into this back and forth, kind of, we locked horns. I mean, I'm 45 years old, and I'm locking horns with a 28-month-old child. And she just sat there and said no. And so I'm thinking to myself, in my time in life, I have been the captain of the football team, I've been a Boy Scout, I've been a Weeblo, I've been an ROTC as a leader. Heck, I'm even the president of the Atlanta City Council. I gotta figure out a way to get my daughter to eat these vegetables. 30 minutes later, she's still sitting in the chair, hollering and screaming, and I'm sitting there just in a daze, and my wife comes in. And our housekeeper is still there, and she's over in the kitchen, I think, laughing at me. And so my wife comes in, she takes my child, and she takes her to the bathroom, and she's able to get her to do whatever it is she's supposed to do. And so she runs, I mean, she's been crying, crying profusely for 30 minutes. I'm sitting here not knowing what to do, and I think I'm a pretty decent father. And she comes out of the bathroom running, and she looks at me like, and she really looks at me like, you sucker. And just goes into her bedroom. And I tell you this story to tell you this. In life, you will find yourself doing so many things that will move you away from what you think are not so important things. And you will find yourself in a position where you're going to have to learn and use all the skills that you've been given, that you've acquired. But I'll tell you, there's nothing like family. It's nothing like friends. It's nothing like being able to give back to those that you care about. And it's nothing like learning lessons in leadership from children. And so I say all this to say this to you. I know you all have spent the last 12 months or so in leadership. And one of you, of course, I've served on projects with, and I've watched, if your compadre here is any example of what you have learned and what you have experienced and what you are capable of doing, then I am sure that all of you in this room in some way are going to change not just the community in which you have chosen to serve, but really I think you're going to change the city, the state, and have an impact on our nation and on our world. And I don't say that just to kind of blow smoke on you. I'm really serious. And then most importantly, when you have to get home and deal with a little one, what you have learned here today, what you have learned over the last 12 months, will hopefully help you to lead your children as much as you try to lead the community. I wanted to say this, many of you will go on and continue service as individuals. You will take your individual charge and work. Shawnette has already given me a project that I've got to work on based upon a project we worked on together. Some of you will join other organizations. Some of you will actually decide that you want to get involved in the framework of government, as one of my fellow colleagues in the City of Atlanta in our DIT department will tell you. Government is a lot of fun. It moves differently from the private sector. It certainly moves different from the nonprofit but it's certainly a place where you can give and serve and make a difference. But whatever it is you do, just understand and remember a couple of things. At the end of the day, you want to say that I have moved the needle in terms of helping someone and meeting a critical need in our community. How have you done it? It's not always about the press conference. It's not always about the news story. It's not always about the adulation you'll get from people who really actually know that you've done a good job and worked hard. It's actually about making that what might even be just an incremental difference in the life of a young person, in the life of a senior citizen, in the life of someone who has a special need, in the life of someone who is perfectly capable of doing whatever it is they want to do, but they just need a little help, a little guidance, or someone just standing next to them and taking a walk with them towards some accomplishment, towards meeting some need. Know that if there are no cameras and no lights around to show what you've done, that you have changed someone's life, that you have moved the needle some incremental way. And I guarantee you, you will hear about it again. And I'm not saying that about the preacher to hear about it in heaven and all that. I'm not saying that you will, but what I'm saying, you will hear about it again. You will hear about it again. Because there's no such thing as the loss of energy. What you pay out, it goes into the universe and it comes back. Trust me on that. Trust me, I am a living, breathing example of that. I don't stand here because I'm smart, because I have just fucking dual majors. You know, not because I've won a national championship in sport or anything like that. I really am standing here as the president of the city council, as a blessed father to a husband, and someone who practices law, the largest law firm in the world, because I literally had the help of people who maybe got help less than they helped me. When I think about people who really have made a difference in my life, I point back to Hands on Atlanta, and you all would not know Sherry Snipes. But there are flashpoints in life, and you want to make sure that you don't take them lightly. Like every child, for every child, there is a point where they actually, and I'm not going to talk long, stop, I know y'all can, but I want to say this. There's a point in every child, there are several points, milestones in every child's life where they have what's called a spark. Where something happens to them, some event, some words are said to them that literally change their life. Understand that. That is the truth. And so you have the opportunity and you've expressed the commitment. The work you have done literally lets me know that you are going to be one of the ones versus some thug on the street. It's going to be around one of our young people when that spark occurs. When that spark occurs, they will never forget you. And they will tell stories about what you have done when they are born. When they are in a position to be in a place where it's time for the young person they are helping to experience that spark. Because if that spark is a positive spark, you're creating an opportunity, you're creating a perspective in a young person's mind, you're creating a space in their psyche where they can actually see a clear field and they can see a horizon and undiscovered country that might really be their prosperity, might really be their success. So don't take for granted just a little time you spend. Because that 5 minutes you spend with a young person might be the moment in time they have that spark. And guess what that spark creates for you at some point in the future? It will send an angel to you. That spark will send an angel. When I think about the things that have allowed me to be and do what I've done, it's been because, it's not really because of the things, it's been because of the people. And I mentioned Sherry Snipes because Sherry Snipes and I'll tell this story, and I can tell a couple more just like it, but I won't. Sherry Snipes and I were both in a program called the Volunteer Involvement Project Initiative through United Way. experience you all are having right now is a slightly more involved experience. And some of you may have been through the volunteer involvement program, but really it was an opportunity for a number of young people to learn about community service and serving on nonprofit boards. So I was in class, Sherry was in class. I don't know why Sherry was in class. I think she was already a managing director at Hands on Atlanta, doing wonderful stuff. But I wanted to learn more about nonprofit service. So I get to the end of the class, and you know, you're supposed to get matched with a nonprofit. You have to do this presentation about some project you do or what have you. And so I do my presentation, and I guess I did okay, but whatever, you know. But I really didn't get any rights to join a nonprofit. So I'm thinking, okay, so I'll just keep on moving and doing what I'm doing. Then I get this call from Sherry Snipes. She said, Caesar, I'd like for you to just come, let's have lunch. Let's talk about just what you're planning to do and what your interests are. I want to tell you about an organization called Hands on Atlanta. Now, Sherry was on the board. She was not the CEO. Michelle Nell was the CEO at the time. Sherry was the managing director. She had even been the managing director. She said, Caesar, I want you to consider getting engaged in Hands on Atlanta. Now, I knew about Hands on Atlanta at the time. In fact, I had done a couple of community service projects as a volunteer with Hands on Atlanta, and I had a lot of respect for the organization. But I didn't know she was calling me and asking me to consider joining the board. I mean, really, and I'm thinking, okay, join the board. I said, okay, all right, maybe I'm getting a little space I'm not comfortable with. Let's continue this conversation. So she introduced me to Michelle and introduced me to another board members, and you know, within several months' time, I was on the board. And this is a long time ago. This was maybe 15, 16, it's a long time ago. And I joined the board, ultimately became board chair. And I say this, if I had not become a member of the Board of Hands on Atlanta, I would not be president of the United States Council. I say that with all the benefits, but then I don't forget the fact that I was on that board and became chair because Sherry Snipes tapped me on the shoulder because of just our kind of easy experience with one another in this program where we all who were involved were there because we expressed our desire to serve and put ourselves in that place. And so she became an angel because somewhere along the way, back when I was a kid, maybe when I was a young adult or even beyond that, I was willing to volunteer with kids, whether it was in law school or at the Boys and Girls Club in college. I don't say that Sherry just showed up as an angel for me, you know, just because I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I think it was that spark being paid forward. Last story I'll tell, and I'm just saying this because I think it's important for you